Genesis 39, verse 23, the Bible says Joseph's in prison and the warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. You know, I mean, there's not a lot of things to do in prison. Certainly in prison, people have got to be fed. Certainly in prison, people would probably have wounds that have to be taken care of. You probably have people that get into fights. There's got to be conflict management. Certainly people are going to be locked up in some form or another. I mean, there's still a lot of activities that would happen in a prison, from hygiene to feeding, to making sure people are exercising, to sickness and or disease that needed to be taken care of. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in a prison. And so obviously the prison would have been allocated resources by the king to take care of the management of the prison. All of these things, the chief warden, put this under Joseph's care. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. I want to let you just let that soak in with you for a minute. The Lord was always with Joseph. He never left him. There was never going to be a place where God would forsake him. He knew that the dream was still for a time to come. In the meantime, God is using every situation to teach him. Okay, you might say, but could Joseph not have learned these things outside of a prison? Could Joseph not have learned these things not as a slave, but as a master on his own rights? Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. And you may be tempted to say, I can learn those things without going into those circumstances. I'd rather turn this around and say this to you. You are in life. And in life, things are going to happen in life that are not in your control. They are just not in your control. And other people are going to come into your life. They bring their energy, systems, governments, things happen around you that are not in your control. And so as these things happen to you, how you react to them is going to change everything. It's going to determine everything. You know, people are really, really all about, I want to control what happens in my life, because if I've got control of what happens in my life, then I know what's going to happen next. And if I know what's going to happen next, that gives me security, makes me feel okay. I am in control. I mean, Joseph clearly had no control over his circumstances. From day to day and from next event to next event, he didn't know what was going to happen. I think we get really bogged down and so caught up in ourselves about trying to get control, trying to manage the future, setting goals and tasks. And those are all good things. You need to have a plan. You need to have goals. You need to have tasks happening. You need to have objectives that you want to press for. But so many of those things are designed to put you in control so that you can get to your future. Well, in Joseph's case, it doesn't matter how much planning he did and how much designing he did and how many objectives he set and how many goals he set for himself. He was not in control of his future. And so I want to suggest to you, it's good to have a plan. It's good to have goals and objectives towards the dream. If you don't have a dream yet, this is your time to press into God so that you can have an inspired God dream. Have God's inspiration rise up inside of you for your life. But not everything that you're going to press for is going to be on plan, on goals, on objectives that you want to achieve. Don't feel like this thing's out of my control, this thing is going all scary, helter-skelter, I don't know what's going to happen next. If I could just have a measure of some kind of stability in my life. hey, that very attitude could be the very thing that stops you from actually experiencing the goodness of God, the faithful love of God, the favor of God. Because if you just say, I know God's got me, and if I don't feel completely in control, it's okay. Remember what was happening to Joseph. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. God is going to cause everything you do to succeed because He's with you. You're His child. He's going to put a dream in your heart, and you need to stay the course and not get bent out of shape if you feel that you're not in control, and you may feel like this is never going to happen. I'm sure Joseph felt that. When I come back and talk to you again, we're going to jump to the next phase of our conversation together, and we're going to talk about the circumstances that started to change around Joseph, preparing him to bring him before Pharaoh, because God was with him.